Good evening to you. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on News About this weekend, also live on Twitter and on Facebook. Yes, channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Ocansey. Tonight, we get into the issues as President and the issue relating to the matters arising with this heaven scandal that the Member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency has been revealing over the last couple of days. Samuel Okujeto Blakwa is our guest on Ghana Tonight. Stay with us. We'll get into the details. Also tonight, there appears to be a storm brewing within the quarters of the governing New Patriotic Party as key stalwarts in the persons of Chairman Wontumi and Kennedy Ohene-Japong are at each other's throats. We'll delve into this issue, which is unsettling a number of the NPP enthusiasts and how it affects their chances going into election 2024. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. And also Francis Adainimo has been talking about this. You hear him, the lead suspect in the case in which money and items worth millions of cedis were stolen from the residence of former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Abunadapa, and her husband, Daniel Sekofo, has been denied bail by an Accra Circuit Court. This was after records showed she previously jammed bail as a juvenile. There are some interesting developments in this particular case, and you would want to stay with us because I'm a lawyer who's been following this case quite closely right from the juvenile level when this case began. Remember, this prime suspect in this particular case, that's the first respondent in this case. We're talking about the patients that's in there. We'll give you details of exactly what is the latest with her and what is happening now, because the court has decided that she does not deserve a bail. Lawyer Martin Pebo is private legal practitioner, one of the topmost human rights lawyers in this country. You'll be joining us here on Ghana Tonight. As always, we are very, very interactive. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and Twitter. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
A flag-bearer aspirant of the New Patriotic Party, Francis Adainimo, believes the NPP is on the brink of disunity due to discontent among members of the party's leadership. The party's presidential hopeful wants all grievances addressed to ensure victory in the 2024 general elections.
Anybody who will say that the party is so united now may be giving the false impression. After August 26, the unity of the party is shaking, and we all have to work on it. And so we are on the slippery grounds as far as the unity of the party is concerned. Mr. Lanchamantin has taken the decision to leave the party. And for me, that is unpleasant.
A day after the minority in Parliament led a protest to remove the governor of the Bank of Ghana, a former governor and finance minister, Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, is requesting Parliament's leadership to address the central bank's current crisis. Speaking exclusively to TV3, Dr. Duffuor stated that the House has the power to address the challenges while maintaining the sanctity of the central bank.
Parliament is a very powerful institution. You know that? They are so powerful that they control the purse. Parliament can order the governor. They can order the Minister of Finance. When I was the Minister of Finance, I'll be going there every year to present the budget on behalf of my president. And as soon as I put the document down, I'll be in their hands. Parliament could say, look, go back and tell your president, we will not allow him to spend more than 80% of this. They have the power to say so.
The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Yedu Addison, has replied the minority in Parliament over Tuesday's march demanding his resignation. Dr. Addison told Central Banking that the demonstration dubbed #OccupyBOG protest was completely unnecessary and neither he nor his two deputies intend to step down. The minority was demanding Dr. Addison's resignation together with that of his two deputies, Dr. Maxwell Opoku Afari and Elsie Adu Awaji, over mismanagement. The caucus initially gave the three governors 21 days to resign, but after the ultimatum elapsed, decided to hit the streets and march to the headquarters of the central bank to demand that physically. Dialysis patients who pay the unapproved fees will receive free treatment on their next visit. This is the outcome of the meeting between Parliament's Committee on Health and Management of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Ranking member on the Health Committee, Minta Kando, says Kolebu CEO will appear before the committee when Parliament resumes.
We have agreed that, yes, they agree with me that it was illegal because it has not come to Parliament, and as it is required by the Fees and Charges Act, you would have to come to Parliament because before you be able to charge such a fee. And so they say that they admit it was an illegality, and therefore they have put an end to it, but they have put in place some internal mechanisms.
Well, there's more news on 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. And before we get into the issues of the Heaven Way contract that the Member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, has been getting into and revealing over the last 2 days, the Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, has dismissed calls by the opposition National Party Congress and the minority caucus in Parliament, plus some other protesters who hit the streets yesterday asking him to resign. In fact, Dr. Addison, in an interview with international business website Central Banking, said he is not stepping down, despite the protests asking that he should step aside. He described the protests as unnecessary, completely unnecessary. Now, Dr. Addison also rejected the claims by the minority that he printed money to finance the lavish lifestyle of the ruling government. Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa is going to be joining us in a bit on this. According to him, the central bank governor, the BOG provided monetary financing during 2020 and 2022 to meet specific crises, which he says is legal under the central bank law. Now, take a look at this. These are portions of his responses to some of the questions that were posed to him during that interview. He says, quote, the minority in Parliament have many channels to channel their grievances in civilized societies, not through demonstrations on the streets as hooligans. Goes on to say that the impairment of the bank's holdings of debt, which led to the losses, was a conditionality for the IMF program. Nobody at the Bank of Ghana forgave any debt. This is a statement attributed to the governor of the central bank in that interview after that protest yesterday. Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa is Member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency. He's joining us on Zoom. Ablakwa, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us on Ghana Tonight. Hello, Mr. Ablakwa, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, if you can put your video on and let's proceed with this. So there's been that specific response to the protest by the minority and some interest groups. Mr. Ablakwa, can you hear me? Hello? Okay. There's a little okay, great. Thank you for joining us. So this is what the governor of the central bank is saying, that you had other channels of putting across your issues. No, we will rectify that. will rectify the connection, unfortunately, and get back to Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. But let's get into the issues of the NPP while we rectify that connection with Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa shortly. Now, coming up next here on Ghana Tonight, we go straight into the new Petoti party and matters arising because internal wranglings in the MPP continues to deepen as the Kennedy Japan's campaign team has hit back at the Ashanti Regional New Petoti Party chairman, Bernard Entry-Boesiako, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, accusing him of embezzling public funds. Chairman Wontumi earlier dared to have the Asin Central lawmaker and the party's flag bearer hopeful, Kennedy Japan, arrested if he threatens him again. Now, let's backtrack. Take a look at what Kennedy Japan said during that showdown walk in the Ashanti region, daring Chairman Wontumi because he says he set up a number of media houses to hurl insults at elderly persons within the NPP. Take a look.
I dare you to make a mistake, and you will see men in this country. Our Ghana, what radio station and television station, and what is team paying for them.
So this was a there by Kennedy Japan. Then Bernard Entry-Boesiako earlier today addressed the press, indicating that he was going to cause the arrest of Kennedy Japan if he threatens him like what he did in the case of Ahmed Swale. Take a look.
And you show down, and you are no, and the man in trap. So now threatening me, be what me yacho. I have football, and I'm a demon. Because why I saw Ahmed Sure, and money at the Swale as a one, no, Omuni Viasibio.
So that's Entry-Boesiako there, the Ashanti Regional Chair of the MPP, replying Kennedy Japan. After this press conference, the campaign team of Kennedy Japan in the Ashanti region also held a press conference to respond to some of the issues that Bernard Entry-Boesiako said or indicated in that press conference, which he stated that he was going to cause the arrest of Kennedy Japan. This is what they said. Take a look.
We have on record that there was an agreement in the party, by the party, that the 1 million per constituency that was going to be disbursed, the party was supposed to have. The chairman received 20% of that amount purposely to do party business, specifically to deal with police station officers, constituency officers, and regional officers. We are, by this press conference, calling upon Chairman Wontumi to disclose the whereabouts of that money.
So there's been this back and forth going on. Then another flag bearer hopeful, Francis Adainimo, also says that, look, nobody should be kidding themselves if they think that all is well within the NPP, because the evidence of what's happening, for instance, between Chairman Wontumi and Kennedy Japan and the withdrawal or the resignation of Alain Chimanting, all of this is a clear indication of what's happening within the party. Take a look.
Anybody who will say that the party is so united now may be giving the false impression. After August 26, the unity of the party is shaking, and we all have to work on it. And so we are on the slippery grounds as far as the unity of the party is concerned. Mr. Alain Chimanting has taken the decision to leave the party, and for me, that is unpleasant, and I would wish that it didn't happen that way. But that is his personal decision, and nobody should assume that it is only one person of him who he says he's leaving the party. And we need to see how we can address all the issues and get everybody recognized, respected for the battle of 2024.
Well, so that's Francis Adame Nemo there. This is Ghana Tonight. Stay with me because we'll rectify that connection with Samuel Okujeto Blackwell shortly. He's going to be joining us. But Francis Adame Nemo is not alone in this position that all is not well in the NPP. The former Greek minister, who is also another flag bearer hopeful, stated this. Take a look. That it is clear to him that the morale is very low. The expectation of the NPP activists around the country for a better life has not been realized. So the NPP is not in a good place to contest to retain power next year. That's Dr. Alfred Ocansey as well, corroborating a number of things that the likes of Francis Adame Nemo had indicated. Professor Dujemfi is a senior lecturer of political science at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST. He's joining us on Zoom. Thank you, Professor Dujemfi, for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. So these are persons who are all singing the same tune about all not being well within the NPP. But after this, there's been some reaction that these people, that's Dr. Alfred Ocansey and Francis Adame Nemo, don't know what they are talking about. What is your verdict of what they have said about the instances of internal wranglings within the NPP?
I appreciate the opportunity to speak to this particular issue. It is a truism that is kind of bleak and possibly an opaque situation for the NPP going forward. And so their headlights cannot really see ahead in terms of how to navigate the economic situation that this country is faced with, issues of corruption and waned expectations of the people. Going into 2016 elections, there were a lot of gargantuan promises and which received some icing in the 2020 elections, even though the 2020 elections did tell us that the people are systematically and gradually, and I mean the people of this country, not the NPP party per se, were gradually and systematically beginning to wean themselves off the euphoria and the NPP excitement, but rather coming to terms with reality. Because the president of Ghana has ruled with his cousins and family members at the expense of the so-called prowess the vice president seemed to have showcased or projected in his campaign tours or trails over the time. And that failure, I wouldn't refer to it as a gargantuan failure, but that failure, which is obvious, has come about because the president and the president's men did not allow Bawumia to be. And the kind of experience he had gathered over the period, he saw the need to steer the course, stay in and take part of the blame, because at least it's part of the government, just as Kennedy Dapon has been part of the government, just as Akoto Osei himself has been part of the government. And today, Akoto Osei himself being a failed Agric minister because he chose to sell foodstuffs at the Ministry of Agric. My brother, okay, my brother, are you here with me? My brother, the Agric minister was selling foodstuffs at the Agric ministry. Unprecedented failure. So fundamentally, here we are. It is an economic failure with a vice president who has some, economic wit. What we see going beyond this is the fact that the disunity which has persisted over time, as a result of the cracks in the party between Akufo-Addo himself and other sectors of the party, and the quest for who becomes the bona fide leader of the party, has been that which will accentuate the, better still, the problems. The NPP is going through a certain bed tanks or bed pay. It is seeking to recalibrate itself and going through a self-purging process. And that process in itself seemed to have dimmed the headlight of the party. Why? because everything is shaking within the party. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. The two schools of thought, one that believes that we are the people who were the founders of the party in 1992. The Alan Kodoche Martin, the Kennedy Japan, and the others feel that it doesn't matter how competent you think you are. We are the old guards. So you see that anytime there is this old guard, new guard contestations or clash, what it does is that it mutes, rather, it causes the synergies within the party, because until that problem, which is festering in terms of differences in domains of the old and the new, is dealt with, it doesn't allow for the center to hold, for the party to be able to breathe. So I agree in Tutu with the gentleman who sold foodstuffs at a Greek ministry, that the enthusiasm is low. It is low because the NPP itself is going through metamorphosis. It is locked up in a cocoon, the cocoon of Asante Achim hegemony, the cocoon of divisiveness orchestrated by the president as a candidate Akufo-Addo at that time, a certain regime which is interested in holding on to power, and that is going to be manifested in that.
I see.
These fights and organization is seen also between the Asante regional chairman of the MPP and Kennedy Japan.
And the Kennedy Japan, and that's what things played out as we made reference to. Thank you so much, Professor Samuel Adujemfi, for joining us here with your thoughts. He's a senior lecturer, political science, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUC. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, Member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has in his latest expose raised alarm over what he says is the sale of prime lands around the Kotoka International Airport to a private company under some shady, questionable circumstances, which we're going to be getting into shortly. This is Ghana Tonight. Let's get into it now. Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa is joining us on Zoom. Thank you, Mr. Ablakwa, for joining us here on Ghana Tonight.
Pleasure.
Great. Now, even before we get into your expose on this heavyweight company, the governor of the central bank has responded to your call for him to resign. This is what he said, and I'm going to read portions of his response in that interview. The minority in parliament, you have many channels to put across your grievances in civilized societies, not through demonstrations in the streets as hooligans. He goes on to say that the impairment of the bank's holdings of debt, which led to the losses, was a conditionality for the IMF program. Nobody at the Bank of Ghana forgave any debt. This is the Bank of Ghana's governor response to you. Mr. Ablakwa.
These are very provocative words, very uncharitable, very discourteous, very condescending. And I'm struggling to believe that this is really quotes attributable to the governor. We will do our own checks. But if it turns out that he indeed uttered those words, it will confirm the continuous contempt that this governor has for Parliament, for the Ghanaian people, and for the laws of our country. This is a governor who has trampled upon all the laws that regulate his work at the Bank of Ghana. He has violated Section 30 of his act and printed as much as 77 billion Ghana cedis. And after printing 77 billion Ghana cedis and causing unprecedented inflation, which at a point stood at 54%, this governor still manages to make losses to the tune of 60.8 billion, a negative equity of 55 billion. He has depleted our reserves. And in the midst of all of this governor breaches the procurement laws of our country, starts a head office project, which he shouldn't have started at all in a period of crisis. This project he started in 2020, when the economy was on a slowdown, when there was COVID. They secured the land on the 12th of October 2020. So when anybody says that, look, we started this project long ago in good times, it is not true. They started in bad times. This governor should not have started this head office project and should not have continued with this project up to this point. And guess what? After breaching our procurement laws, bringing in dubious companies, some of them not registered in Ghana, rigging the procurement system to favor his crony buccaneer entrepreneurs, this governor flouted the PPA approval of $81 million. And as we speak, that project is in the region of $227 million. Can you believe that? I mean, the laws are clear. If you go beyond 15% variation, you must retender. This governor, if you add the controversial land acquisition, which is another scandal on its own, because it would come with compensation and it will come with paying those who had used that land for collateral for a loan they have gone to. If they did their due diligence, they shouldn't have gone for that particular land. The parties are in court, and there's a looming, we estimate that we are going to be paying not less than 400 million cedis. So this project is already exceeding $300 million. At a time, you have made unprecedented losses. And this governor has the effrontery, has the audacity to talk to members of parliament, the people's representatives in this way.
Well, he says that your demonstration, or their protest, in fact, was unnecessary, essentially.
It is not for him to determine which democratic, constitutional route that citizens of this country adopt. Demonstrations are part of our fundamental rights guaranteed under the Constitution. We can decide to demonstrate. We can decide to picket. We can decide to write letters. We can decide to file motions. We can decide not to act at all. These are all democratic avenues available to us. I mean, is he aware that the man who appointed him, the boss he serves, who asked him to print the money, which he was printing without recourse to law, when the law says you must seek parliamentary approval, you cannot exceed 5% of previous year's revenue. Section 30 of Act 918 is very clear, it's not ambiguous. Is he aware that his boss's rise to fame is based on demonstration? Is he aware that his boss led Kome Prekum, Sieme Prekum, and all the Prekuns all over the country? And that is how he was seen as a fighter, a defender of rights, a voice for the voiceless. Today, he is calling people who are demonstrating hooligans. I mean, I really don't want to believe that those words, those insulting words, those derogatory words, those condescending words came from the governor of our central bank, a governor who has broken all laws. Elsewhere, he will be in jail long ago. He will be languishing in jail long ago. This governor is virtually insulting all of us who believe that demonstrations are important tools in the democratic toolkit to make a point. And he doesn't even realize, he doesn't recognize that he's also insulting his boss. He doesn't recognize that President Akufo-Addo, his rise to fame, how he became known in this country, was through the many demonstrations that he organized and led. Today, this governor is telling us that it's hooligans who engage in demonstrations. Unbelievable. I mean, and this is a public servant. Look at all the damning findings by auditors in the 2022 annual statement of the Bank of Ghana. the amount of money they spend on gold watches, the hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis they spend, 131 million Ghana cedis. They say they are spending on vehicle maintenance, over 30 million on so-called communications. Look at how much they spend on travels. It is our money, the people's money. And the people were out there on the street saying enough is enough because of your actions. This governor, more than 50,000 people have lost their jobs in the banking and financial sector. More than 50,000. I have mates who were bank managers, top managers in various financial institutions who are now Uber drivers. Some are at home. Over 50,000 people have lost their jobs because of the recklessness of this government. The World Bank is saying that about 850,000 people have been forced into the poverty zone because of this governor's decision. This governor's printing of money recklessly, 77 billion cedis, caused inflation, eroded the purchasing power of Ghanaians. Many businesses have had to fold up because of this governor's reckless monetary interventions. We have had many businesses leave this country. And this governor, after all of this, even has the courage to speak. And he will not even be contrite. He will not be apologetic. He will not plead with the Ghanaian people for forgiveness. He is insulting us that it is hooligans, uncivilized people who go on demonstrations. I mean, which means that his boss, President Akufo-Addo, is the #1 hooligan, #1 uncivilized person, because that's his rise to fame. Look, I honestly don't want to believe this, but you are a credible organization. I'm sure you've done your checks. I mean, but I really am beside myself. I can't believe this, that this governor will utter these words and describe members of parliament in such discourteous, condescending, insulting manner. But I can assure you, and assure the good people of this country, that this governor is not going to get away. I'm glad that we have served notice that the demonstrations will continue. Okay. I am glad that we have petitioned the Office of Special Prosecutor that, look, this governor has committed grave crimes, heinous crimes against the Ghanaian people. He has no respect for the laws of our country. And he continues to show that even by his utterances. And I hope the Office of Special Prosecutor will be initiating investigation. Look, governors are not above the law. In other jurisdictions, governors have been jailed. You know what happened to the former governor in Nigeria. Follow what has happened to the governors who have been blacklisted from countries like Lebanon, like Slovakia. This governor will have to join that infamous category.
But that is if after investigations prove out. Yes. That obviously you are asking the OSP to investigate this. So then we'll see what the outcome will be on this. But before you go, in fact, one of the other major reasons why we have you on tonight is the Heaven Scandal Part 2. This evening you released the Part 2 of this, and we have some documents that were put out there. Get to yourself. Now, take a look at this for the benefit of our viewers. That quote, the issues that since the publication of the first one, Heaven Scandal, and the subsequent engagement on Twitter, this is what you put out there today, that the stated capital for Heaven Builders Limited, which has been made an offer of and allocation of prime airport lands valued in excess of $150 million, is a paltry 5,000 cedis. Correct? That the stated capital of this Heaven Builders Limited is 5,000 cedis?
Yes, you are
and
reading right.
Where did you get this information from?
This information is contained in the articles of incorporation that I have secured from the Office of the Registrar of Companies. And it is absolutely shocking that a company with no track record at all, this company called Heaven Builders Limited, no track record, a stated capital of just 5,000 cedis, suddenly qualifies to be handed over. And if you read the offer letter of 16 December, signed by Mrs. Pamela Jamson Tete, the Managing Director of Ghana Airport Company Limited, incredible letter. I mean, it's a total giveaway where this company is said to suddenly have the capacity to come do some road construction and provide some amenities that will be valued at $85 million, which qualifies them to own 38.14 acres of our land that has been kept for many decades. Because those lands were preserved, we were able to move from Terminal 1 to Terminal 2, and then Terminal 3. We've kept expanding the airport to make it an international airport, give it that status, which now makes it a very renowned airport that has won many awards. They are giving everything away, the remaining 93 acres. This deal, if it goes through, everything goes, and there will be really no room for expansion. And what is even more annoying is that this company has the effrontery to then make a counter offer that the 38 acres is not enough. They want 62 acres. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, already the whole concept, the policy, the philosophy is questionable. The Ghana Airport Company Limited does not need a middleman. It does not need a middle company, any interlocutor. It can on its own raise funds on its balance sheet. It has title to the land. So if really they need some money to do some infrastructural work on their phase 2 project, Airport City phase 2, they can just go ahead and raise capital. A consortium of banks will be more than happy to support. Why bring in this middleman and nobody knows how they are going to be sharing the land that they have just, I mean, recklessly handed over to them? And they even have the effrontery to say that 38 acres is not good enough, that they need 62. And in today's expose, I have revealed independent assessments from professional organizations. 2 of them, the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, and they are saying this deal is a total ripoff. I have attached their report, which they submitted to the Ghana Airport Company Limited. They are saying that, look, even if the company has a capacity to raise $85 million, they should not be getting anything beyond 40 acres. These characters, these buccaneer entrepreneurs, are saying that they need 62 acres. Unbelievable. And then you have Bridgewater or Brightwater, I believe is Brightwater Property Investments Limited, the second independent assessor, looking at this deal and saying that, look, it is a ripoff. Ghanaians are being raped, and that this company does not deserve anything beyond 39 acres. So where from this demand for 62? And even that, as I insist, this is such a major policy decision that should have been brought to Parliament for discussion, for debate. We need to discuss really as a country if we want to give away all our airport lands. That has not happened. No parliamentary approval has been sought, and this company from nowhere, calling themselves Heaven Builders, are just being dashed. This is, I mean, that's why I was saying earlier today that it appears that we are no longer a democracy. We've become a plutocracy.
So let me establish this. You said that per your own checks with the various state agencies, if this deal even has to go through, this company can lay claim to just about 40 acres and not the 62 acres they are asking for. That is if this deal has to go through with parliamentary approval.
Yes, even with parliamentary approval, if due diligence is done. And
unfortunately, apologies for this. Some lokuja to a black one. Yes, you're making a point. Let's. Unfortunate, we lost the connection with Sam Lokuja to Ablakwa. He's member of parliament for the North Tongue constituency. Over the last 48 hours, he's been consistent with releases on a company that he is raising fundamental questions about, specific issues relating to how the Brightwater Property Investments Limited and the Ghana Institution of Surveyors all coming in with their own analysis of the contract details as was put out by the Heaven Builders, laying claim to some 62 acres of airport lands, which he has been looking into. Now, we understand that this is a matter that he's indicated is going to be of interest to Parliament when Parliament resumes. That's what we're going to seek from him. What next after the public expose or putting this out on his Twitter page? What next? Says Parliament is going to look into it. It's something that will follow up here on Ghana Tonight. But before we go for the break, coming up next, the lead suspect in the case in which monies and items worth millions of cedis were allegedly stolen from the residence of former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Cicely Abnam-Dapa, and her husband, Daniel Osei-Kuffour, has been denied bail by an Accra Circuit Court. Patience Boche is the lady in question. We'll tell you why the courts denied her bail and what human rights lawyers have to say about this. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Auditioning. Media General Group is hereby inviting all interested persons who aspire to become news presenters for auditioning as follows. Date: Thursday, October 5, 2023. The time is 9 a.m. Venue is at the premises of Media General Ghana. Required competencies: excellent reading skills, fluent in English, excellent editing skills, outgoing, abreast with local and international developments, news gathering and reporting skills, good writing, communication and presentation skills, ability to think creatively and good research skills. Qualification: first degree in social sciences, communication or journalism and related disciplines. Master's degree is preferred.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint. As compared to other paint brands on the market, we take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
I want you so bad, Alfred Ocansey. I want you. I wanna say yes, I can't resist. I want you. Ooh, I want you, Alfred Ocansey. I want you so bad, Alfred Ocansey.
Of a goodness rich in milk and butter, in Alpha Cracker, yummy and deliciously crunchy.
But I can't resist you.
Alpha Crackers, simply irresistible.
This advert is FDA approved.
Franco Trading Enterprise is your leading mobile phone, accessories, and your electronic retail outlet. You can buy any item online at the comfort of your home from Franco Trading Enterprise. Just download the Franco Trading app on Google Play Store or App Store, or visit our website at www.francotrading.com. You can buy all brands of mobile phones, television, air conditioning, home theaters, and any other accessories. For online purchasing and more inquiries, Just call us on 0501 502 670. Franco Trading Enterprise. We are still the home of quality mobile phones and accessories.
When you have the extra bit of ambition in your heart, you also need extra bit of energy to come through. And for that, Rush Energy is the perfect boost to get over the line. Created in the USA and proudly made in Ghana. Thanks to the unique formula, you have the power of ginseng, the benefit of vitamins and all the energy of inositol, taurine and caffeine. Anytime you need to go beyond, Rush Energy will help you get there.
Auditioning. Media General Group is hereby inviting all interested persons who aspire to become news presenters for auditioning as follows. Date: Thursday, October 5, 2023. The time is 9 a.m. Venue is at the premises of Media General Ghana. Required competencies: excellent reading skills, fluent in English, excellent editing skills, outgoing, abreast with local and international developments, news gathering and reporting skills, good writing, communication and presentation skills, ability to think creatively, and good research skills. Qualification: first degree in social sciences, communication or journalism and related disciplines. Master's degree is preferred.
This is Key Points, the #1 award-winning television news analysis program, providing an enlightened analysis of the key issues facing us as a country.
The key points of the stories that matter with the people who matter.
This is Key Points, the #1 award-winning television news analysis program. Every Saturday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. on TV3 and on Free FM 92.7. TV3, first in news.
Mac Brown's Kitchen. Mac Brown's Kitchen.
I'm ready to send me to Mac Brown's Kitchen. New season, new stations. Hey, Mac Brown's Kitchen. Na want TV so I check. Ani o mu ya check. But the nyamia yeni en check no. Ba TV3. Mimi da bia ane 5 to 6 p.m. Na ya ba hwa mo wate. Mini ni kunu me ma ya ba hwa sesako Ghana fodo. That's it.
McBrown's Kitchen, premiering Saturday, October 7 at 5 p.m. on TV3.
Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on TV Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. Before we get into the latest on this Cecilia Atapa case with respect to the person standing trial, let's conclude in a minute with Samuel Okudeto Ablakwa. We lost him briefly before that quick break we went on. He's back on Zoom. Mr. Ablakwa, now after this expose, putting out in the public and publishing these documents, as a member of parliament, what are you going to do next when parliament resumes?
All exposés. We have already discussed at the level of leadership within our caucus. We are going to file a motion and we will be demanding a probe. We'll be summoning all the persons involved, the transport minister, the managing director of the Ghana Airports Company Limited, all of these so-called Buccaneer entrepreneurs. All of them will have to come to Parliament and explain why they started off in the first place without parliamentary approval and why they kept all of these things away from Parliament and from the Ghanaian people, and why we are not getting value for money, and why the Ghana Airport Company is not, if really they need money, why they are not approaching the banks and they are engaging in these very shady transactions with companies that have no track record. So I can assure you that just as you saw National Cathedral, we have an inquiry that will be starting soon. You saw the Victor Kusibuatin matter. It's before Shraj. Shraj is investigating. We have round one already. You've seen what we have done with Frontiers as well. We have filed a motion and there will be a probe soon on that. So as we do with every expose, be rest assured that it is not just about putting it out there and discussing it in the media. We will use the platform of Parliament to get into it, to make sure that, first of all, the deal is stopped, it is curtailed, and those who have to face the music do face the music.
Okay. We'll definitely keep an eye on this one and see how things play out in the coming days and weeks. Thank you for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
And Samuel Akutetua, likewise Member of Parliament for the Northern constituency, been on a path of exposés on this heaven builders and the matters arising. Now, coming up next, the lead suspect in the case in which monies and items worth millions of cedis were allegedly stolen from the residence of former Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Brandapa, and her husband, Daniel Osei-Kuffour, has been denied bail by an Accra Circuit Court. Now, we're going to put videos of this some time ago when they appeared in court. Patience Boche, according to the juvenile court records, had previously jumped bail after being arraigned on similar charges. In fact, the record of proceedings from the juvenile court indicated that the accused flouted the juvenile court bail conditions and was not attending to court. It also indicated that even though a bench warrant was issued for her arrest, it was not executed until the case was struck out. That is according to the information that we have. And then these are the persons. There's Patience Boche, her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, and all the other persons in this Cecilia Dapa case who have been arrested. They are the ones there you see on the screen. This is Ghana Tonight. Now, Lawyer Martin Pebo is private legal practitioner and one of the foremost human rights lawyers we have in this country. Thank you so much, Martin Pebo, for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. So this is the conclusion of the Circuit Court today, that they cannot grant Patience Boche, the first accused in this Cecilia Dapa case, because she flouted the bail conditions and the bench warrant issued for her arrest when the case was at the juvenile court. Now, you've followed this case quite closely, right from the juvenile court to how things are playing out now. What's your take on this particular decision today?
Okay, so, Mr. Ocansey, what we'll do is that we'll give a general indication of the position of the law, but this will not be taken as an analysis of the decision of the judge based on the report that you have, and I've seen it in other media. We can discuss the law that regulates that area. Okay, so the law in that area, you're looking at specifically the most poignant one, the most on target one is sections 96, subsection 6 of the Act 30. The Act 30 is full name is the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act. The Criminal and Other Offences into brackets Procedure Act, right? Its short name is Act 30. Good. So this section 96, subsection 6 deals with the factors that a judge may consider, okay, in granting bail. And then there's a further step. I want to go straight to your answer. There's a further step. In order to grant bail, there's a further step that the judge should look to see whether there is a chance, a reasonable chance that if the accused is granted bail, the accused will not come back to stand trial. You say, yes. factors that a judge will consider. That is it likely that this accused, if granted bail, will not come back to stand trial. Those are the factors that one of them applies. So I've cut out a lot of things so that this will go straight to your answer, okay? So that it won't be that. So the fact that a judge, or one of the reasons that a judge considers in trying to grant bail or refuse, is what are the chances that this accused will abscond, will not come back to stand trial. It's only one that we are discussing in this context. We are not discussing the other ones. And this one that we are discussing, there is a subsection 6D says that one of the things that the judge will look at to see whether this accused will come to stand trial and not abscond is that the accused having been granted bail on a previous occasion, that accused absconded. The accused having been granted bail on a previous occasion, that accused absconded. So if there is that history, then it is only one out of about 5 factors that the court will consider, right? Trying to assess that this is somebody who will go and not come back. Okay, it's a flight risk. Okay, so that one, yes. So in simple terms, yes, under the law, if you have a history of having broken the conditions of your bail, you have a history of refusing to adhere to the terms of bail, yes, that history may count against an accused person. Except that, and we'll read the law shortly to emphasize the point.
And in fact,
that I may add that what I'm not too clear about, and I don't see any immediate case here, is that that particular incident did not happen before this judge. You said so. That's where I have difficulty. But once again, as I said, we've also not seen the ruling, so we can't go too far. But that is something we should think about critically. When we get the ruling, we can assess to see whether all the facts surrounding the circumstances in which that person absconded in the juvenile court were put before the court, and then we can look at it because it wasn't before this particular judge. So we don't have clarity how much of the facts from the juvenile court were brought before this particular judge.
Lawyer, appreciate your time on this, and then also the specific issues that you raise about the full details of this judgment, which is fair. And so we'll see how, especially because this case is expected to be called in the next couple of weeks, the case that the special prosecutor is seeking the court order to freeze the bank accounts of Cecilia Dapa and the monies that were retrieved at her residence in Abelimpe as well. So our court correspondents will be there to feed us through every step of the way. Thank you, Martin Pebu, private legal practitioner and the convener for the Kumi Precorrido demonstration. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. On behalf of the rest of the team, we appreciate your company. Join us same time tomorrow for another conversation. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
This program is rated PG. It contains scenes of brief nudity, mild violence, and strong language. Parental guidance is advised.
Brought to you by
MTN DES Shower Gel.